Hello and welcome to When Bad Things Happen to Good People, a podcast about censorship and the arts. My name is Oren Barter, and with me as always is Todd Sullivan.
Heyo!
And today we're going to talk about my favorite Disney XD show, which I only watched for the first time when I was about 30 years old, Gravity Falls.
Well, that was weird, eh?
It was a little weird, wasn't it?
It was. I liked it, though.
It's different. It's different. I'm used to just being like just taking sips of my beer, being like, yeah, I know who we are, Todd. Come on, let's get
This is
rolling.
what, this episode, late 20s here, 28, 29, something like that, and you finally did the introduction. It's awesome. They grew up so fast.
No, I did two introductions, so on the live episode. So this
That's
is
true.
my third.
That's true.
This is my third introduction.
Yeah. This is the official one, though.
This is the official one. That's right.
Right. When we weren't, trying to get half cut and goofing around a little bit.
Oh, speaking of which, honestly, okay, so I had a really busy day today. I got done as many things as I could get done, and then I had a buddy of mine who does tree removal get in touch with me. He's like, "Hey, any chance you want to work after work?" And I was like, "I am actually not working today, so I could go right now." So I went and worked with him for a while, and then I came home and I was exhausted. I had some food. I actually bought some alcohol because I was like, I had a hard day. I'm gonna have a couple drinks. I've been trying to cut back. I've been actually doing a really good job of cutting back. But I was like, I had a hard day. I'm gonna have a cup of beer. And I had told myself about a month ago, I'm not gonna drink unless it's for the podcast. And then I remembered about 10 minutes after 8, after I'd finished my meal, I was like, oh fuck, I gotta record a podcast today. So it worked out perfectly.
There you go. Why don't you tell us what you're drinking tonight?
So I just polished off I don't know if I ever told everybody or told you at least my rating system for beers, the height, the size of them. So the big glass ones I call big boys.
Yep.
And then a tall can is a big boy.
Tall.
Or
That was a tall boy.
Tall boy, yeah, sorry. So big boy.
I got to correct your own rating method.
So big boy, tall boy, and then the little regular cans is a small boy.
Right.
So I got one big boy of the Spinnaker's Nut Brown, which I've had on this before, and I got a tall boy of Guinness, which I'm actually going to crack right now. And what are you drinking, my good sir?
Well, since we're now kind of into the spring and summer period here, we're seeing a sudden influx of some of my favorite beers, which I'm sure I've mentioned on this podcast before,
are sours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to rep sours and rep Kamloops tonight with a Red Collar Brewing cherry sour, which I don't think I've ever had in the bottle before. I have had it previously at their brewery back when you were allowed to do things like that.
Right. Right. Because we're not allowed to do anything anymore.
Exactly. No, everyone's forced to stay home and
I can
can't
still
go
go
out.
to work though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Speaking of which,
let's talk about that.
yeah, we're both in the first jab family. Is that? I don't know if you got a second one yet. I don't think so.
No, I haven't had a second one. But I'm super lucky to have had my first for my age.
Yeah.
Because I do work at a clinic and we do deal with some vulnerable members of the population. So I feel super, super. I don't want to say lucky, but what's that word? I mean, I'm grateful, but there's another word. It's I don't want to say blessed.
That's got some Christian connotations.
Whatever the non-Christian word for blessed is.
You're grateful?
See, but that's more of thankful. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I'm part of that whole kind of cohort. I was not expecting to get it this early. I was very much expecting to wait until the end of June at the earliest, I thought. So super excited. Still understand that I can still get it. I can still transmit it. So I still have to be careful around other people. But it is a huge weight off of my shoulder, knowing that if I do contract it, my odds of getting severely sick are basically null at this point, which is just, I've been super stressed through this whole thing. It's an amazing feeling. How do you feel about it?
I feel good. My arm is a little bit sore today because I just got the jab yesterday. And I am getting it a little bit early for my age, but I'm also in a slightly higher risk category as an insulin dependent diabetic. That's sort of the medical condition that got me bumped up the line a little bit.
Right.
So it's one of those rare times where I get to be like, hey, I guess maybe it's a good. That's not a good thing.
It's not a
it's just because I'm, if I were to catch COVID, I'm slightly more likely to have some bad side effects or die. They wanted to get the vaccination in my arm even sooner than usual, which is fine with me. So I got the Pfizer shot.
I got the Moderna.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Moderna hurt quite a bit.
Did it?
Yeah, like my arm was sore for a couple of days. Like it really took a lot of effort to lift it above my head. It kind of felt like I'd torn my rotator cuff on the other side a couple of years before. It felt a lot like that. Just like reduced range of motion. It only lasted for a couple of days. I woke up in the middle of the night once, like sleeping on it, and it hurt a lot. But after 2 days, it was fine. It's been fine ever since.
Yeah, mine started to hurt kind of early in the morning. I started noticing when I got up, I don't know, at 3 or 4 in the morning to pee or something like that, and it was a bit sore. And then about halfway through the day, for about half an hour, it was a little bit itchy.
Oh, okay.
But that's been about it. It seems to be on the way to like less pain now. In fact, it doesn't even hurt unless I like kind of push on it a bit. So
don't do that.
Seems like no.
Have you heard that? You've heard that old joke, right? It's like,
gonna rub the vac. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Doctor, but it's gonna, when I do this.
It's gonna rub the vaccine in harder. It's going to give me better immunity. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. Just got to slap it a couple of times.
Right, exactly.
Right, you got to work that in.
Shove it in there. My vaccination lady did this thing where, like, right before she jabbed the needle in my arm, she was like, "Okay, now wiggle your toes," and I was like, "I don't think that has anything to do with the vaccine."
And then she poked you. Right?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it was meant to distract me.
Yeah. I looked away. I was super nervous about it, but it was fine. Like, it was over like that.
Yeah, exactly. She did the wiggle toes thing, and then she was like, it was done. And honestly, like, because I'm a diabetic and I'm shooting insulin into myself like every night.
Yeah.
I'm used to like a longer injection process.
Right.
So
you're used to doing it yourself.
So I read a story actually about that. I think it was on Twitter.
Yeah.
That this guy went in to get vaccinated, and the nurse put down the needle next to him and got up and wandered away to do something for a second, and he assumed that he was just supposed to jab it in his own arm.
Oh, because he was used to doing his own insulin injections.
No, he wasn't even a diabetic. It was just somebody who was like this. They put the thing down, and then they assumed that's. So he just grabbed the needle and jammed it in his own arm, like.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's
maybe that's why she put it down. She put it like way on the other side of the room.
Well, and then like I said, she.
So I would have had to like get up off my chair, walk over to the needle. I mean, maybe they did that for him too. Maybe he was just like, okay, I'll just wander over here and grab this needle.
Well, I guess she wandered off without saying anything, and he just sort of assumed that that was the process. That
is actually kind of funny.
Yep.
In like not a funny way, but it's funny.
Is there anything else we want to touch on before we move on? I guess we've been off for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I took an extra week off because I'm starting a business.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm excited. Our official launch date is going to be 2 days from now. 1 day from now. Hold on, give me a second. What's Earth Day? Is it tomorrow?
Oh. Hey, Google. When's Earth Day?
Earth Day will be on Thursday, April 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd.
Yeah, so 22nd is our official business startup date. We have like a lot of things on the go, but that's going to be, it was kind of serendipitous. Like we're going to register the business on Earth Day. It's going to be awesome. If anybody's curious, it's an eco-friendly landscaping company. Everything is run off of batteries, and the vehicle that we use is a hybrid. And it's been a dream of mine for a long time to do something like that. So, dream come true.
That's going to be in Kamloops.
It's going to be in Kamloops.
Kamloops listeners. Yeah. So, all right, that's exciting. That's cool. And we're back now with some like less heavy stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Probably just to keep things a little bit low key again as you get your business up and running. Is I think we'll kind of try to do a few weeks of just one-offs before diving into a big novel again.
Well, and also this was the original one we were going to do after the Turner Diaries because I wanted something super lighthearted after.
Well, and I promised I would do whatever you wanted as well after I put you through that. So.
Right. But then we decided to do the Dr. Seuss books because they were so topical at the time. I think they've like I haven't heard anybody say shit about them for like the last. So we hopped on that train I think right on the right time. Nobody's
totally.
still mad about it. Like I'm not seeing anybody like have we all forgotten about Dr. Seuss?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, there's other things to be performatively outraged about, I guess.
If you're a conservative, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, tell us about what Gravity Falls is.
So, Gravity Falls is a, I'm going to do in quotations, children's show. It is super dark. It is really funny. It is one of my favorite shows. My sister got me into it, and I was super excited to learn that while it hasn't been banned in Canada or the United States, it has been censored quite heavily in certain areas of the world, most specifically Southeast Asia, which I found very interesting.
And that's probably something worth noting is that we are bending things a little bit on this episode. It's not been outright banned.
Well, I mean, we do start every episode. Well, we do start with every episode with like a podcast about censorship in the arts.
I guess that's true.
So, I mean, we're kind of, I'd say it's still canon at this point. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say that because like, I really want that to be true because I want to do it. So we're doing it anyway. I mean,
it's our podcast. I mean, I'm not going to suddenly pull the rug out from under you and go, surprise, we're doing something else. I read a whole new book that I'm going to talk about today that you know nothing about.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But you did select 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do more. I thought that these 2 were fairly heavily altered in the Southeast Asia category of like the Gravity Falls censorship. So I thought they might be good ones to do. The 2 episodes that I chose were Scarioki, which is the first episode of season 2. Which was quite heavily censored and also was kind of more in line with the first season, a little more lighthearted, a little more just like there is an overarching story to the show, but it's like one of those, it's a kid's show, so everything's kind of self-contained. Like every episode is a self-contained story. Okay. And then the second one we did was Weird Mageddon Part 2, so there was 3 parts to that. And the second half of the season really was the build up to Bill Cipher taking over Gravity Falls. Dipper Pines, who is the lead character, kind of inadvertently helps that happen. He kind of releases Bill Cipher onto the world. And I thought it was a good dichotomy of the show. I hope you felt like they were 2 very, very different episodes.
They were, I think. Yeah. I did enjoy them both. The Weird Mageddon Part 2 was I enjoyed it, but it was definitely the middle part of 3 things. Right. Where I don't have any idea what came before, and it was still very clearly ending on a cliffhanger moment, so...
No, that's true.
I mean, go back and watch just those other 2 episodes to sort of get some closure in my brain.
I wish you would. I wish you watched the whole thing, because it's great. It really is. It's one of those kids shows. It's just so well done that it really doesn't matter the age of the audience. I think it can be enjoyed.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about the, how it was censored.
Yeah. So Scarioki has a few, and it's mostly lines. And there was one really interesting one in this, and which is why I wanted to do this one. So I'll go over the lines here. So,
well, actually, tell us the plot of Scarioki first, I guess.
Okay. So Scarioki. Thanks for chauffeuring me through my first like real hosting here, because I would have just been like, this is everything I wanted to say. 20 minutes in, have a good night. So Scarioki is about the first season. The main like bad guy was Gideon, this little snot-nosed kid who got his hands on some magical items and was like wreaking havoc. They managed to, I guess, defeat him, and they were celebrating his imprisonment, basically.
Right.
And mostly, I think, because the lead character's great uncle Stan, Grunkle Stan, was happy that he didn't have any competition for his Mystery Shack gift shop anymore. So they had this big party. Mabel Pines, who is Dipper's twin sister, wants to throw this big rager, have a big karaoke party. And she wants this so desperately. She wants something that's normal because, like, throughout this entire series, Dipper is constantly encountering these supernatural phenomenon, and she kind of gets caught up in it. It's not really her thing; it's Dipper's thing. So this was supposed to be her thing. So she said no running off on adventures and no raising the dead. And so what happens is
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. So what happens is Dipper's just desperate for anybody to believe him that all these things that he's seen are happening around this town. And these two government agents come because there's been like some censors, some readings that they've been encountering. They saw them 30 years ago, I guess, is the plot. And there is a point to that if you're familiar with the story. I guess we're not above spoilers here. So Grunkle Stan has a twin brother who has 6 fingers. And he got...
Oh, okay. Okay.
Does that make sense now?
I'm getting some visual references that make some more sense now.
Right,
like
yeah, because Grunkle Stan, when he's turning on that machine, he puts on a glove that has an extra finger, and then I don't know if you noticed, but the books. So there's
those books.
Those books have a 6-finger hand on it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So Grunkle Stan's. You know what? It's been a while since I've seen it. I can't remember his name, and not a true fanboy here apparently, but. So he was investigating all of these things around Gravity Falls, and he ended up developing a portal, and he actually got sucked into another dimension, which I don't know if it was like explicitly said, but I believe it was the dimension that Bill Cipher came from. So just a whole lot of like really fucked up demon monster things. And this show does get quite dark for a children's show. Especially that one part in Weird Mageddon. I know I'm bouncing off. I was supposed to be talking about Scarioki here. But when Dipper's like, I'm going to do it anyway. When Dipper was like, this isn't real. And then everything like turns from like roses and sunshine to like maggots falling off of this old tree that's like staring at him. Okay, so Scarioki. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all good, man. We make our own rules here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're not hosting. You can't say anything.
No, exactly.
I mean, you are, but like I'm talking to the audience. I'm being antagonistic to the audience, which is probably not a good hosting strategy.
I told you needed to take the lead on this one. I need to let you take the lead and like just dance your dance, man.
So Scarioki. So these 2 government agents show up. Dipper is desperate to get them to investigate what's going on and believe him.
I like, by the way, that government agent who was born with the condition that allows him not find humor in anything.
Yeah, there's, and that was the same guy that played Ron Swanson. What the hell is his name? I should know this. Nick Offerman, obviously. Mm-hmm. And they do have some like high caliber guest stars on the show, which is super cool. So in an attempt to prove to these government agents that everything that he talked about is real, he's desperately looking through this book because they think it's just like something a child made up. It's got like a leper unicorn sheep thing.
Right, was a leprechaun.
Leprechaun, yeah. So they don't believe him. So he's flipping through the book and he's like, "There's spells," and then he just like reads out the spell. And what does Dipper do? He raises the dead.
Conjures the dead.
So now all these zombies kind of like take over the Mystery Shack, and it was super funny. Yeah, Mabel's like, "What was the one thing I asked you not to do? Raise the dead." And what did you do? Raise the dead.
Yeah. It's always awkward.
Yeah, so they end up fighting all these zombies, and they have to basically sing a 3-part harmony to kill all the zombies because that's their only weakness. and Dipper discovers that there's a whole bunch, like, because of the party there was black lights, and then he discovers that there's ink written in the books that is only in black light. So there's a whole other side to this journal that he's been reading for the past year. And that's pretty much
that is how
it.
they uncover the way to destroy the zombies.
That's how they uncover the way to destroy the zombies. That's right.
Which I don't think in any other zombie fiction is it 3-part harmony to destroy them.
I don't think so. I think that is a strictly Gravity Falls thing, which is. They did use shovels too, which is very common.
They did use shovels, which is not unheard of.
And a karaoke machine for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings up the interesting point, though, as I was watching, I was thinking about this fact that it seems like most zombie stories take place in worlds where zombie fiction never happened.
Right.
Because whenever the dead comes back to life, no one is like, aha, zombies. Everyone's like, what the fuck is this? And then they always give them some weird name that's not
zombies.
The Walking Dead
walkers.
is the worst about this, because it got to be so annoying by the time I gave up on the show that every single group they encountered had a different name. They're walkers, they're roamers, they're shufflers, they're it's just, God damn it, they're zombies. Would you all shut the fuck up?
But in this show, they know what zombies are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then their buddy
It's
is
a nice
like,
surprise. You don't see that.
yeah. So their buddy's like, no worries. Like, my entire life watching science fiction and
Right.
fantasy has led to this moment. I know everything there is about killing zombies. And as he's saying this to the kids, a zombie bites him on the neck, and he's like, gonna swip the script here. How about I eat your brains?
Right.
I thought that was a good joke. That's pretty much it. They end reunited. Grunkle Stan admits that he's known about these things all along, and he's just been trying to protect them. Luckily their buddy, who was turned into a zombie, gets sucked into some housewife's show on TV, and he's like, no, don't worry, I'll get those brains later. I gotta watch this. And then he's not there to listen to the 3-part harmonies and have his head explode. And so they're able to cure him.
And then later they discover how to cure him, in the book.
Yeah. So everything kind of wraps up. Like I said, like a lot of self-contained storylines in the show, of course. I mean, you can't give kids like a cliffhanger like you can on Grey's Anatomy or something like that. I could have come up with a better reference, but that's all that came to mind.
Grey's Anatomy, those classic cliffhangers. I was going to say too, I really appreciated the way the sister described karaoke as the idea isn't to sing well, it's to sing badly together.
That's right.
Which I think might be my favorite definition of karaoke, and if I had thought about that definition earlier in my life, I might have opened up more to doing karaoke earlier on.
So that was Scarioke. I thought it was a good episode, not the best. Like I got to say, I picked 2 that had some key points for censorship. I didn't pick 2 that were my favorite.
Right, and that's good, because that's what we're here to talk about.
But there's a couple of things that weren't censored that I came up with that I thought were like kind of adult humor, maybe in like a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. But the honk if you want to be arrested on the back of the. Did you see that one? On the back
see that one.
On the back of the car for the government agents, which obviously is like honk if you're horny, right? But they changed that up. And then,
I did like, speaking of the government agents, when the cops showed up at the party with the noise complaint, and they were like, "We want in on this."
Oh yeah. And then Mabel.
They weren't there to shut it down.
They're like, "We want in," and then she like sticks the. Those what the fuck are those called? Those things that you blow on?
I don't know what they're called. There's like you blow and they go.
Yeah. And then she spanks the one cop on his way out into the party. I was like, what the hell? And then the bribe attempt for the cops that Stan does was not censored in Southeast Asia.
These pictures of American presidents.
Yeah, these rare pictures of American presidents. He pulls out like a $50 bill or something.
Yeah.
I like that they summed up the teenage experience in about 30 seconds in this episode. Do you want me to explain that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so these kids show up at the party. The music's blasting, And this one kid goes, "Oh, I thought it was a rave." And they're like, "It can be a rave if you want it to be. Take off your shirt and make it a rave." And he's like, "I'll do anything for your approval." He rips off his shirt. Some girl takes a picture of it, and he's like, "Oh," he gets sad. She's like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to send it to anybody." And then she sends it to everybody.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like just the perfect 30-second recap of high school for me.
Teenager,
yeah. Spanks the Cop. I thought that was like crazy and hilarious. So those are just a few notes that I had. There's some. It's a wacky show. They throw some stuff in. You don't have to be a kid to enjoy it. Actually, you probably enjoy it more if you're not a kid, to be honest with you. One of the big.
I liked the bit when the older girl liked how the black lights made her teeth look creepy.
Right. Yeah. And then she was supposed to like watch out for Grunkle Stan, but then she got that.
She was looking at the picture.
She got the yeah, exactly. So the callback to that. It's a pretty clever show. So one of the big parts that was censored. So do you remember when they were doing the 3-part harmony and all the zombie heads were exploding?
Yeah.
Apparently in Southeast Asia, every time a zombie's head exploded, they just looped the same zombie covering their ears. So all of those times in that show where a different zombie's head exploded was just the same zombie covering its ears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No zombie head ever exploded.
No exploding heads.
Okay.
Is that a band? Exploding Heads.
I don't think so. Could be.
It should be.
I mean, yeah.
Should we start a band called Exploding Heads?
I don't know if it's that good.
There's Combustible Heads.
Combustible Heads?
By We Might Be Giants. Oh, damn.
Oh, that's a song. Yeah.
You must have been one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song.
That is a good song.
I love that music video. Have you seen the music video?
Oh, it's awesome. Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go over what was censored, and then we're gonna move on to Weird Mageddon.
Sounds good.
So Stan's line, "But I didn't catch that pork chop all alone," was shortened to "But I didn't catch that chop all alone," and I thought that was a very weird thing to censor until I looked into why. So apparently in Southeast Asia, let me just bring this up here. So when it comes to children's television, a large portion of the population is Muslim, so they will
and they
actually
can't eat pork.
Yeah, and they can't eat pork, so they will actually censor pork-related references. So in the case of that one, it says because pork is considered forbidden by Muslim, references to pork and lard were removed, with pork and lard being blurred out, in this case just completely removed. So there's like, it just gives another example of a different show here, but I thought that was very interesting. It was a very specific thing to catch. It's not something I would have thought would be censored, but after you read why, it actually, like, it makes sense. Not that I agree with it. I don't think the word pork should be censored.
I guess it saves the trouble in those cultures of having your children come to you as a parent and say, like, Mom, what's pork?
Yeah, and when I look into like the more adult channels, pork isn't a censorship issue. It's only in the children's. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. The next line, let me just find it here. Karaoke. Darn kid, he has no idea what he's messing with. So obviously, the worst word in there is darn, and they got rid of it. Yeah. So they just skipped to he has no idea what he's messing with. The zombie thing with every time a zombie's head exploded, they would cover the ears. But they apparently kept the head chopping off with the shovel, which I found was like a kid could see a shovel and they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool. I can cut somebody's head off with that." Whereas like nobody's going to think that somebody's head's going to explode from singing at them. I thought that was a weird choice to make, but that's the choice that they made.
I guess it might be that the head exploding is a little bit gorier than the shovel chop.
But they do actually say, I actually found it on Wikia. So there is a censorship.wikia.org. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I think this is where we originally found the information about Gravity Falls and what inspired us to do the episode.
No, that was was it this one or was it the fandom? Because there's the Gravity Falls fandom, which is another wiki. Which had a list.
No, it was a dedicated censorship one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I found that interesting because actually, like, violence is supposed to be, especially if it's like repeatable by a child is supposed to be censored. They did not censor the shovel thing, as far as I know. As far as the Gravity Falls fandom, I didn't actually watch the Southeast Asia version. Although I thought that would be hilarious to watch that zombie cover his ears every time his head was supposed to explode. And yeah, so, and then Deal With It, Zombie Idiots was shortened to Deal With It, Zombies. They kept the TS, but they removed the idia. So I don't know. That would actually be really funny to watch.
Yeah. That must have just been like really tough editing, because I would have tried to get it down to zombies.
Right. But they must have had to
out of
kept
there
the T
too, right?
Yeah, they might have just like had to leave the T in there just a little bit.
I guess.
But the reason behind that is that swearing is obviously banned anyway for Disney, but anything considered rude, such as jerk, sucker, idiot, moron, heck, dumb, freak, rat, stupid, and rat. I don't know if rats is in that list. Is rats? I guess, rats. Would not like.
Yeah, it's kind of a curse.
Yeah, I guess so. Stupid and dang are all censored in Southeast Asia. So yeah, that was every time it was censored or changed. And let's move on to Weirdmageddon, which is a fucking head trip. Okay, so Weirdmageddon Part 2, which, as Todd said earlier, is kind of, I just threw him into the middle of the end. I didn't want to give you the end of the end, and I didn't want to give you the beginning of the end, because I think there was so much in the beginning of the end that really required more context.
Okay.
The middle of the end was highly altered in Southeast Asia. And I got to say, like, all of this censorship that I'm talking about is in Southeast Asia. And I found that was interesting, the way that different regions will alter shows. I never really thought about that before. But it really, I don't know if it makes sense, but it's obvious when you think about it. Yeah. They have different
cultural
I just kind of thought, like, if they didn't want part of the show, they just wouldn't have that show, but they still want to, like, offer that.
That's a pretty feast or famine attitude, dude.
I guess that's just the way I thought it was. I thought, like, yeah, this is, like, Western culture. These are our shows, and if they don't like it over there, they just don't show it. But I
guess if you're not a company that's driven by money like Disney that wants to get their products into every market they can, maybe you do that. Maybe you're an artist who's like, I'm not going to censor my shit for these guys.
But it's like, yeah, Disney's like, yeah, fuck, do whatever you want as long as we're getting paid. Let's talk about Weirdmageddon.
Yeah.
This episode, the whole Weirdmageddon thing as a whole is kind of a mind fuck. Bill Cipher, a being of unlimited.
He was that triangle.
He was the triangle guy. He was the triangle guy. Yeah.
Triangle Man.
So, fucking love that song. So, Triangle Man. Bill Cipher. He's a being of, like, unlimited power and really no definable shape or size. I mean, other than the triangle, I guess. But he can do all sorts of things with his.
Triangle powers,
his physical attributes, and he like earlier on the show he presents himself as kind of like a benevolent that word
Ben Elephant
yeah. He presents himself as a good character, as a helpful character. He's got powers. He doesn't have all of his powers. He's been sealed. And his main goal is to attempt to, because Dipper's the only one with the key, basically. His goal is to convince Dipper to release him, and his main goal is just to basically take over the world.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be super good in that second episode, I will admit.
No. When you first see him, he actually seems like he's quite smart. He helps. He's very helpful. He gives Dipper some information that he really needs, but he's also kind of like, now what do I get out of it? Right? Like, he's kind of like, right off the bat, he's a little bit kind of cheeky in that way. You don't really realize until the end, like, how, like, evil this character really is. That throne that he sits on with all the people from the town.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't worry about it. They're all unconscious, I think." And then that one one woman wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, we're just gonna put you right back in there, okay?" Like that kind of joking was a little bit like was right from the start, and it was a little bit more subtle, but not really. Like, definitely they foreshadowed that this is not a good person, right? You know, he'd be like, "We could kill them all," or something like that, and Dipper would be like, "What? Haha, I'm just kidding." He wasn't kidding. Anyway, so Bill Cipher now is in control of Gravity Falls. Dipper is on a mission to save his sister Mabel, who has been locked in kind of like this reality bubble. Fantasy bubble, I guess, is a more realistic term for what it is. She is supposedly in charge of this place. It's all rainbows and sunshine. There's 80s music playing all the time, very loudly, I might add.
And those dude bros, man.
And those
they were
dude
awesome.
bros, and they actually turned out to be kind of real, maybe? I don't know.
I love that end scene with them. Not to jump ahead, but they end up in reality and they start quoting Jean-Paul Sartre.
Like,
what the fuck?
Like in a kid's show, like no kid's gonna get that reference. Like I said, at the end of this season, they were like, "We're getting canceled anyway. We're just gonna."
You know, from what I read, they did not get canceled. Though it was the creator's decision to end the show. Yeah,
no, I thought
that's what Wikipedia said.
Well, if it was on Wikipedia, then it must be true, and I did not do my research. I apologize, audience. This is my first time hosting. I will.
It's okay. He'll get better.
I will be better. I must do better. Yeah, so Dipper goes into this fantasy realm. Everybody finds something that they need or want. Wendy is Dipper's older redheaded friend who he has a massive crush on.
Yeah, I caught that in this episode.
Yeah, it's every episode. I promise. It's never not a thing. So
well, it wasn't super clear in Karaoke.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
But like when Dipper's fantasy of her being interested in him showed up in this episode, that made it. That was like, oh, okay, that's their dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's been well. That's not their dynamic.
No,
the dynamic
like
is he's like infatuated with her, and she.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
He's like a kid, right? She's the nephew of the guy that she works for, because she works at the Mystery Shack. She's a fucking horrible employee, by the way. So they're in this fantasy realm. Mabel is apparently in charge of it. Everybody gets something they want. Wendy finds a group of friends who have a monster truck and they want to go destroy the school and put a plunger on the principal's head. And she's like, "I gotta go. I'm sorry. I just have to do this. I don't even care if it's not real. It just has to get done." And then Zeus, who was the zombie guy, who turned into a zombie, who's no longer a zombie at this point. This masked Mexican wrestler shows up and he's like, "I am your father."
Yeah, but it was like, I'm dressed as a Mexican luchador with a head that you saw on a bottle of Mexican hot sauce or something.
Yeah, he's like,
because you don't know what your dad actually looked like.
And then Dipper's like, "No, Zeus, don't go with him no matter what he says." And he's like, don't no matter what he offers you. And the guy's like, "You want to play catch?" And he's like, Zeus is like, "Sorry, dude, I gotta go."
Yeah.
And then Dipper gets Wendy. Dipper gets Wendy, but
he realizes that it's fake.
Yeah, that was fake. And then everything turns into these dark maggots, these dark, gross, maggoty creatures with shrill voices and a billion eyes staring at him.
Yeah, it's like, "You shouldn't have said that."
Yeah, we're watching you all the time.
And everything turns back to like happy, bouncy, friendly.
Yeah. So you get the feeling that Mabel's paradise really isn't a paradise.
Yeah.
So they do this. How did they get to the trial? I can't remember how they got to the trial at this point. There was a trial. Oh, because Dipper says we need to take you back to the real. Okay,
right.
Sorry, let me take a step back here. So the dude bros, the like handsome anime guys that are giving them the grand tour. They're like, there's only there's no rules here except for one rule, but we're not even going to tell you what that is because nobody would ever do that. So Dipper does that, obviously, because that's what Dipper does.
The rule is you can never talk about going back to the real world.
You can never talk about reality. So he does, and he's supposed to be thrown out, but then he challenges. Was it him or Mabel? Somebody challenges. Anyway, they have a court case. The judge is
if he wins,
right.
His sister comes back to reality with him. If he loses, he's banished forever.
He's banished forever. Mabel stays there. They're separated.
Yeah.
The judge is I got this up here. Just a second. Judge Kitty Meow Meow Face Schwartzstein. They actually added a last name, which they didn't say in the show.
Really? That's interesting.
Schwartzstein. So obviously, Judge Kitty Meow Meow was Jewish and was voiced by Jon Stewart. I don't know if you caught that. I did not until I looked it up.
Not.
Yeah,
like
it does not sound like Jon Stewart at all.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. So they do this trial. It gets mushy. Dipper's all about like, we did all this together. That's how we grow.
Well, but first though, here's the important thing. I think is that the dude bros who are the sisters' lawyers, they sort of show all the times that reality failed her.
Right.
You know, the time when it was picture day and someone threw gum in her hair and she, ran away crying, or the time that what's the brother's name? I can't remember names. Dipper.
Yeah.
It was Valentine's Day and Dipper got no Valentines and he like ran from the classroom angry. And so like that was proof that reality sucks. But then when it came time for Dipper to like play defense, he went back to those same instances and showed that how in the long term, together as brother and sister, as family, they spun it around, right? Like with the picture day thing, he's like, I figured out what we can do. And then he like shaves a weird reverse mohawk through the middle of his head. And she's like, ha 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 ha.
And she does the same thing. Yeah.
So, they both have this, weird mohawk, but at least there's no gum in her hair now. And then on the Valentine's Day, like she took all the Valentines that she got and she taped them together into this massive heart. And she wrote on it like, to my favorite brother or whatever, and slipped it under the door to his bedroom to him. And it showed how, like, reality was good when they were together and taking care of each other.
It's a sweet show.
It is. And you know what? There were those moments at the end there about, and I don't know, obviously, some of this stemmed from the previous episode, but when they were talking about how, she was afraid of growing up, that struck a chord with me because, I've got a daughter who's sort of in that same age range right now, and she has definitely expressed her own sort of fears over, the process of growing up and what that means. And I could relate to someone feeling that way.
Definitely. I'm still afraid of growing up. I don't know what's going to happen, but I dread the day.
Yeah. I guess the secret is it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sometimes you just dodge it until the Grim Reaper catches you.
Sometimes,
you did well. You did well there, guy. You managed to avoid it.
Sometimes you grow up, you turn 30, and then you watch a kid's show. And then you talk about it on a podcast, which is pretty grown up.
Oh yeah, there's nothing more grown up than podcasting these days.
No, like this is the pinnacle of
this
existence.
Is the pinnacle. This is your moment.
This is as good as it gets.
I'm sure there's like some 80s song that is a good, like, this is the moment. You've got the power.
Yeah, so that was Weird Mageddon. Kind of, I just wanted to throw you in the thick of it. There is some more subtleties in the show. There's a lot of adult humor. It's got this overarching story. It's got a lot of callbacks. It has some science fiction. It has some supernatural. I don't know if you're interested in watching it. Maybe watch it with Mo. But I think you would really enjoy watching the entire thing. I don't think I've given you anything that's really other than the Bill Cipher thing, but they kind of make that obvious. I don't think I've really given you anything that's going to affect your ability to enjoy it.
Well, I'll probably at the very least watch the other parts of Weirdmageddon just so I can, like I said, have some closure on that storyline. So tell me about the censorship.
Yeah, so let's talk about how it was censored. So there's a few things. I'm going to stall until I find the right tab. So Weirdmageddon.
That was very smooth.
Part 2, Escape from Reality. So Dipper's line, we need to grab Mabel and get the heck out of here. I think we can all
had to lose
figure
the
it
heck,
out.
obviously.
Yeah, had to lose the heck. We need to grab Mabel and get out of here. Dipper's line, you're dead to me, Seuss, was cut completely. And I don't know if that was a violence thing. There really was nothing on this Wikia about censorship, like explicitly saying that death was off the table. So that seemed like maybe more of like a personal choice somebody made. So when the kids said, have fun, brat, the word brat was muted because apparently brat was rude, and rude is not okay in Southeast Asia. Dipper's line, we've traveled to heck and back, was shortened, we've traveled back to get you. That one's pretty obvious. So, and then Judge Kitty Kitty Meow Meow faced Schwarzenstein's line, dang it, why is this hammer squeaky, was shortened to why is this hammer squeaky. So, I mean, pretty minor on that one. There are there's something censored from pretty much every episode of this show within Southeast Asia.
Just thinking our podcast would probably have to get censored a bit to hit Southeast Asia. I guess we're not really a kids podcast though. So.
Well, there's censorship for adult things too. Like let me look at this here. So, homosexuality, any kind of homosexuality is strongly forbidden in Southeast Asia TV. With MTV, anything to do with drugs and alcohol, or smoking are censored. With the music, religion, anything relating to God is changed.
We're pretty safe then.
Yeah. HDTV rarely uses swearing in the shows, but in some commercials, the word God in the phrase "Oh my God" is bleeped out or muted to avoid using God's name.
I probably say "Oh my God" sometimes, but
I'm going to correct myself here. When I originally read these, I thought it was that they didn't like the word God, but they don't want to use the word God in vain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I probably say God occasionally, but I feel like I would say fuck way more often.
Right. Like, what the fuck? Right? Yeah. Oh, now we're censored. We're fucked.
Oh, they don't like fuck in Southeast Asia either?
I
think fuck, like, they dislike homosexuality, so butt fuck would be bad.
Right.
Right? Unless it's consensual, heterosexual butt fucking, maybe.
Right. I don't know. I'm not an expert on censorship in Southeast Asia, but I can tell you that most.
Well, you're the one with the Wikia page in front of you.
Well,
so
I'm trying to find these, but you're throwing so many things at me. So fuck, cunt, cock, bitch, bastard. Oh, the N word. I'm not even going to say that one. Tits are all censored. However, swear words that are rarely censored include ass, balls, shit, piss, twat, and whore. I'm not sure.
Ass, balls, shit, piss, twat, whore.
Ass, balls, shit, piss, twat, whore. That's what we should call our next podcast.
We just need to string them together like that. Ass, balls, shit, piss, twat, whore. Welcome to Ass, balls, shit, piss, twat, whore.
A podcast
that is available in Southeast Asia.
So apparently graphic violence, blood and gore is not censored, except in rare cases where the graphic violence is at its strongest. Sex and nudity is a no-no. Such scenes are censored in series and movies that have them, as many Muslims frown upon sexiness. So I don't know if that's...
And nudity, because that was an issue with The Life of Brian, remember? We were talking about
Right, that's right.
All of the scene when Brian flings open the shutters and he's naked.
And he's naked, his wang's just swinging around in the fucking breeze.
Muslims out in the street out there, they all ran off because they're not supposed to be seeing naked people.
Right. Homosexual.
didn't even think about that.
Right. Okay. I never. Yeah. Okay. That just kind of made things click there for me, but I'm not going to make that everybody else's problem. Homosexuality is illegal in Southeast Asia, apparently, and therefore unacceptable. Same-sex romance and kissing is strictly censored. In fact, mouth-to-mouth kissing is considered indecent as sex. So with the whole,
man, I find mouth-to-mouth kissing like awesome personally, but
to each their own, I guess.
you're not a fan of mouth-to-mouth kissing?
No, I like kissing. So there are limits on how that kind of kissing is accepted.
Like how long?
What's that?
How long? How long you can kiss for?
No, so the limits on how that kind of kissing is accepted.
Okay.
So I suppose if it's not a sexual mouth-to-mouth kiss, they might accept it. Yeah, so we're pretty much done at that point. That's the bulk of the major censorship in all channels in Southeast Asia. I found it interesting to know that things are altered to such a degree.
It is interesting to think that, something as, to us in Western culture, as innocuous as, a kid show,
Mm-hmm.
It still needs to go through a filter of cultural censorship when it gets to other countries.
I mean, it's definitely been through a filter here, right? Like, I'm sure that the final cut that we saw, they probably had some ideas that, Disney XD was like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. So, I mean, we're just seeing kind of like the additional filtering.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was interesting. It was kind of eye-opening. I'm really glad I got to do this show. This was your gift to me because of the Turner Diaries. That book was just awful.
Mm-hmm. Well, and falling on this week, like think of it as your grand beginning your business adventure gift.
Well, I appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've really got nothing more to say about it. Do you have any final thoughts on the show?
I did enjoy it. I don't know that I will go back and watch both seasons. Now that you reminding me that it's only 2 seasons, it does make it seem doable. And regardless of what you said, I'll probably do the bookends of Weirdmageddon. And if that kind of wins me over, at that point, I'll probably do the rest of it.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. I enjoyed it. It's got a good central voice cast. I was grateful when I was reading Wikipedia to learn what grunkle meant, because I really, within the context of the 2 episodes we watched, that was never explained, and I was like, oh, okay. But especially the first season 2 episode 1, Scarioki, made me think of like the X-Files and Twin Peaks condensed into like a children's show, where it's this kind of northwestern United States area with like weird, mysterious, supernatural things going on, just in sort of a kid show. And
did you enjoyed that?
Yeah,
you would enjoy the show. I keep pushing it on you, but if you enjoyed that episode, like the Weirdmageddon is kind of like just an offshoot, really not indicative of the rest of the show. So,
well, I mean, I enjoyed Weirdmageddon too. So now you're turning me off by saying that's not indicative of the rest of the show.
I don't know where to go from there. But thank you for doing this with me. I really appreciate this.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah. This was way easier to swallow than the Turner Diaries was for you, I'm sure. So,
oh my God.
I don't know what we're doing next week yet. We'll dig out some kind of movie or other thing. Maybe we'll try to like sneak in a video game. We've been wanting to do a video game.
I wanted to do some music too. I mean, but we can definitely do a video game. Yeah.
Let's look at doing music sometime in the next few weeks. Because I do sort of want to just sort of play it cool for a little bit, do a couple of one-offs, maybe for the next 3 weeks or so, before biting off a big chunk of doing another novel. And I don't even know what to think of as a novel.
Should we
right
take
now.
some suggestions? Like, if anybody's got any ideas, send them our way.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's anything you would like to see us cover, this is a good opportunity for us to like get into some of our socials and stuff. So yeah, if you still have stuff, movies, books, music, video games, poetry, maybe, I don't know. Like if it's been banned somewhere, or even moderately censored in Southeast Asia, it's in our wheelhouse now. So shoot us an email at bannedthingshappen@gmail.com and let us know what you'd like us to cover. Or you can drop by our Facebook page at facebook.com/bannedthingshappen and, send us a message through Facebook. Just write on our page. Just enjoy, engage in some conversation with people there. Lots of ways to get a hold of us. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/blah, blah, blah media. We are also at buymeacoffee.com. If you want to just sort of send us a one-time donation, buymeacoffee.com/blah, blah, blah. Right? I think that's right.
I think so, yeah.
It's been a while since I've done this now. What am I missing? Anything? Am I missing anything? We have a Discord that like nobody ever goes to.
Yeah, you can get if you really like. I look at my Discord every day, so if you really want to interact with us there, the link is on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
which is
facebook.com/bannedthingshappen.
Okay, perfect.
I did that one already.
Oh, you did that one already.
There's a website too. We're at blahblahblahmedia.com on the web. All of our podcasts are there, and limited information, links to Facebook, links to email. But it's a pretty good central point for catching the podcast if you don't have a podcast platform you prefer. Also need to shout out my other shows. I'm on a podcast called Half Cut Conspiracies with Mr. Carlos Sia. We just had a new episode of that come out last weekend. Mm-hmm. And it was the first episode we did that wasn't technically a conspiracy. So we're opening our restrictions a little bit. We covered the Loch Ness Monster.
I would say that's a conspiracy. Like
it's not. Did you listen to the episode? I think I made my argument pretty clear about why it's not a conspiracy.
I mean, but it's okay. Would you consider like Bigfoot a conspiracy then? No, I guess not. Okay. This is
a conspiracy requires the idea of someone actively. Mm-hmm. Although I do come up with a theory over the course of the episode about how it could be a conspiracy. So you have to go listen to that and find out how I argued that Loch Ness Monster could be a conspiracy. Half Cut Conspiracies, you can find it on all popular podcast platforms.
Featuring Todd Sullivan and the recent winner of the most handsome podcaster, if I'm not mistaken, Carlos Sia, right?
We are continuing to minimize the award. It was previously, so it was the sexiest podcaster, then it was the sexiest podbeaner in the room.
Right.
And then it became, you just changed it to the handsomest?
The handsomest podcaster.
The hot. So the awards, those are 3 separate awards that Carlo has won now. So congratulations to him. You can also find me on Mysteries and Madness. There's a new story arc going on over there called The Killer Car. So that's me and Dave Colemine telling stories that turn into a radio drama as we play a tabletop role-playing game. It's pretty wild stuff.
Great podcast.
I don't know what's happening, but Jack Shepard is in the middle of investigating what appears to be a killer car running around the streets of Los Angeles in the 1940s. It's pretty crazy stuff. Give it a listen. You got anything else, Oren?
No. Shout out to my sister who introduced me to the show. Jamie, this episode is for you.
All right. And thank you, Jamie, because I wouldn't have experienced this episode either if you hadn't shown it to Oren. So, do you want to do the close?
Yeah, let's do the close. So, this has been When Bad Things Happen to Good People. I'm Oren Barter.
I'm Todd Sullivan.
And go read a fucking book.